joining me in. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really
No,
appreciate you
no,
having me.
no, not at all. It's because of the people that are approving these live sessions. Like it's boring for me to do it on my own, right? Who am I going to talk to? So
But
it's good to
you're
have.
doing a great job. You're doing an absolutely great job. It's
Thank you so
brilliant.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we've got you here today, Annika, and I can see your
Yeah.
branding at the back, Save a Living.
Yes.
So like I said before the session started, that I'm having Annika from Save a Living on board. And before we start, I just want people to know who you are, what you do, and what have you been doing within the property investment industry. So just a few words about your introduction. So please go ahead, Annika.
Okay. So I've been in property myself fully for about 5 years now. I started off working as an estate agent.
Okay.
I did that for 3 years. So started off as a lettings negotiator, then went into become a manager and then co-director of the company. Loved the job, really good, so much growth in that job. And then I decided to go it alone. So I thought, you know what, I want to become a property investor and do that full time. Because there's nothing wrong with the estate agency job. I loved it, but
Which estate agent was that?
it was an independent one, Empire Chase Limited. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I have not. No.
Based in
Where were they based?
Harrow.
Harrow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So the posh part of Harrow, you mean Harrow on the Hill or something like
Yes.
that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a
Good
good
stuff.
location, really good, and
Good stuff.
close to where I live. And
I
it
mean,
was,
Harrow on the Hill has, for me, Harrow on the Hill is
yeah,
like the prestige of West
oh,
London.
it is.
It's like the school. I was there once with my daughter. There's a small uh, coffee shop just on the hill as you're coming up. I don't know. It's decorated with
Doll's House,
bird.
is it?
Yeah, that's it,
Doll's
Doll's
House,
House.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, I
Very
was
pretty.
there.
Yeah,
It's really
lovely place.
nice. I mean, I don't know about the coffee and everything, but
Yeah,
the environment and everything, it was good. Having my daughter
yeah,
there, so
yeah.
she loved it. But yes,
Oh,
so
that's
yes, go ahead, please.
yeah. So we were based there, and it was really nice, a lovely part of it. I only decided to leave because the hours, as I'm sure you know,
Yep,
you're an estate agent, right? So the
yep.
hours are just ridiculous, right? I was
24
working,
hours.
yeah, 24 hours. Honestly, it really was. It was constant, and you couldn't even have a weekend to yourself. It would
Yeah,
just be on the
it's
phone.
always like that.
Yeah, because you're
I
looking
mean,
after.
I can't have a lockdown to myself right now.
Yeah, exactly. You must love this, I tell you. You must love it. Um,
Um, but
Yeah,
it's
it was
it's good.
because we're managing over 300 properties. We were dealing a lot with like PRS companies,
Okay.
developers. Yeah, so it was a lot of work, and we were obviously trying to get our reports together. We were trying to be online. There were so many things going on that it was just day and night work. So, and I don't want to, work to live. Is that the right way? Live to work, work to live. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I didn't want to do that because that's not my purpose. And I feel like if I'm not serving my purpose, then, what am I doing, essentially? So I decided to leave that job. It was a hard decision
Yep.
because it was great money. It was, obviously there was a lot of growth in that job. But I thought to myself, let me just work at my own pace and I can go as steady as I need to. So I left in January 2019.
Okay.
And then I went traveling for a bit. I'd done some solo traveling, which again was fantastic. A great opportunity.
Around the world or certain
It was in Southeast Asia.
okay. Everyone
Yeah.
goes to Southeast for traveling, isn't it?
There's so much culture.
The Southeast come to the West and the West go to the Southeast.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true, exactly.
Uh,
But it was really good. Like I loved it. So half of it was solo, half of it was with a few friends and family. And then I came back in June 2019, and then I started to research about how to become a property investor. So I think the research part of it was imperative. Like you have to educate yourself as much as you can
Absolutely.
before you can make so many mistakes in it.
Can I just ask you, did you use any so obviously you had the background of working in an estate agent and
Yeah,
where estate agents normally advise people, advise investors or landlords about how to go about managing your property or how to go about managing your investments.
Yeah.
Did that help you when you tried to make your investment decisions, or was it just, no, I'm going to restart all over again and do it through courses or training courses or online or looking at YouTube videos? I mean, what sort of analysis did you use in terms of uh, getting into this property investment? So just to have a
Yeah.
few.
I mean, no doubt you have to, what my experience was, it helped me tremendously. Like, it
Yeah.
helped me in so many ways, especially in terms of the paperwork, like having ASTs. There was a lot of people, when I did go to training courses, there were a lot of people that didn't know about what an AST was, or very basic things about what I gathered through working at the estate agent. So that benefited me so much. And of course, I already had a passion for it.
Yeah.
So that just enticed my learning. So that was kind of brilliant to begin with anyway. So I was lucky to have that opportunity to have that experience at the estate agent. Anyway, and then, but what I would say is that you do have to, property investing is very different from working in an estate agent.
Yeah.
No kind of
Because you're dealing with your own money rather than someone else's money.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you of course borrow money from other people, but
Yeah.
it's different with estate agent. You almost just have to know how to look after your tenants and how to look after your clients. You don't delve into it deeper, knowing about property itself.
Sorry, just going back to your estate agent job, did you also look at sales, or you just looked at lettings at that point?
To be honest, majority of the time we were looking at lettings.
Okay.
We dabbled in a little bit of sales, but mainly it was like luxury flats that we were letting out. So
Okay.
it was always brand new buildings, never anything old. We never liked to deal with that because the tenants always have issues with the flats,
It's always
So
the
we
case,
wanted
right?
to go, yeah, new
When,
build.
when you take on apartments which are like, you
Yeah,
have the build warranty in there, you have the
yeah,
developer's guarantee in there.
oh, yeah,
It's perfect. It's the perfect
yeah.
management. All you
It's
got to do,
amazing.
collect the rent, pay the rent to the
Yeah.
owner, and you're sorted. It's
Exactly.
perfect. So
It was so much more easier to deal with that, which is
yeah.
why we actually started rejecting any old, any clients that came to us with an old flat. No, thank you. It's more hassle than it's worth, because, I mean, we really valued our customers. Like, we valued our clients and tenants so
Yep.
much. And I guess
Yep.
that's why I stayed there for so long, because it was the similar values. So,
Did you ever tell them to get rid of your old stock and buy new stock? Did you
oh,
ever?
yeah,
You
yeah,
did. And
yeah.
did you manage to get a sale done through that?
Yeah. Because they
Okay.
started, we built trust in our relationship. So
Okay.
they ended up like trusting us, and then they'd just buy new
New
flats, like
stock.
all the landlords. Yeah, new stock.
Yep.
So that's the way it built up quicker, actually. So through relationships, it was the best way to build it up further. And we targeted more going direct to to the developer, and then they'd just end up giving us the whole building.
Yep.
So so through that, through these relationships, we've done quite well in that respect. But going back to your original question about, do you have to get training?
Yep.
Yes, 100%. And that doesn't necessarily mean getting a mentor, because not everyone needs a mentor.
Yep.
You can educate yourself by speaking to experienced people, by reading a lot of books. There's a lot of value on the internet, a lot of value in books. Or you can just have a mentor, but just make sure that they resonate with you, because
Yep.
otherwise, I don't know, I think you wouldn't listen to them as much. And they hold you more accountable. So it
But
depends.
do you feel that I'm an estate agent, right? I'm a broker.
Yeah.
I deal with luxury properties in London,
Yeah.
going to buy-to-let investments up all the way to Liverpool, Manchester, things like that. So what
Wow.
my question is that when you are looking as an investor point of view,
Yes.
yes, you have your mentors, you have your training courses, you have everything like that. You see YouTube, you read the books and everything. But does it come down to your own belief and your own thought process that unless I do this, okay, I'm listening to all these people around me that are talking about investing property, invest in this, invest in that, but
Yeah.
does it come down to you as in to take that risk yourself? No one else is, when you fall, all these mentors and all these training courses and all the books that you've read, they're all going to go down the drain, right? You are
Oh,
going to be standing there on your own facing your problems. So what can you just take me through this in terms of what do you think of, or what did you think of? Okay, you got these training courses, but what did you think of when you went and got your first property?
okay. So if you're referring to the fact that, let's say you fail, yes, you're on your own.
Yeah,
And that's the risk that you have to know that you're going to take that risk to begin with.
yeah,
And but this is why you need to plan it. So with every business, any business, you have to start with a plan.
absolutely.
And in that plan, you have to establish what your goals are and what your strategy is. So referring specifically to property, you have to know what your strategy is, whether it's buy to let, HMO, if you're selling deals, land development, whatever it is, and try not to do more than two, because you'll just, lose focus.
Two, as
You're
in
still,
two a year or two a month?
oh, as in like, no, don't try to do more than two strategies.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah. So for example, I like to do HMOs and buy to lets for now, right? And that works for me. So I would say start off with a plan, do a 1-year plan and do a 5-year plan. So with your 1-year plan, it's what you're going to do this year. And the reason why I say do a 5-year plan is so that you know where you want to go. Like, where do you want to end up? And then work backwards from that, right? So
Got you.
let's say, for example, in 5 years' time, you set yourself a goal. I want to be earning £10,000 per month,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So now you know that you need to, let's say, for example, with HMOs, typically you earn about £1,000 profit
Can I
per
just stop you
HMO.
1 second there?
Of course, yeah.
Just to let my viewers know that, look, if you have any questions that you want to ask Annika about property investment, like she's talking about HMOs right now and buy to lets, please put your comments in there, put your questions in there so she can start answering those questions as well. But sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
Go
I'll
ahead.
be more than happy. No, not at all, that's fine. Yeah, so when, let's say, for example, you want to earn 10 grand per month, and then, so you working backwards, essentially. Typically, one HMO, it brings you about £1,000 profit per month, right? So now you know that you need to buy 10 HMOs, earning minimum of
A grand.
£1,000 per month. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So now you kind of have a strategy in your mind that, like, okay, look, this is what I need to do. How many houses do I need to buy, per annum? And it's so much better to work that way. That's why I say have a plan. And then of course, if you want a mentor or not, that's absolutely fine. If you want to do more training, but sometimes don't overload yourself with too much information. Like when you are just educating yourself, some people get so comfortable with that
Yep.
they don't end up in transformation. So they don't end
Yep.
up taking action at
I
all.
feel like right now I'm feeling like that. I'm doing all these live sessions, right? And I'm learning so much. But have
Yeah.
I got the time to transform myself? It's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
I can sort of, I was just thinking about it today. Like I've got 3 live sessions today, right? So I did one at 11, one's with you now, and one's at
Yeah.
7 p.m. So am I really getting the time to even check my emails, reply to the clients, those clients that are going to pay me money, but still
Yeah,
it's
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 true.
good to because these kind of things I can't do it in my daily life or
Yeah.
not lockdown life, but it's good to know. Question with you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that currently you're strategizing with buy to lets and HMOs.
Yes, that's correct.
What's the difference between, aren't they both the same
No,
typically?
so they're slightly different. So with a buy to let, it's a single let. So you've got one family or one person living in that whole house. Whereas HMO,
Okay.
sorry, is the connection okay, by the way?
Yeah, no, I just
Is
had
it
a battery issue.
okay?
Sorry.
Okay, sorry. And a HMO, which stands for House of Multiple Occupancy, that's when you're basically renting out your rooms. So you're renting per room. So you end up getting more money if you rent out as a HMO than you would as a buy to let. So you could potentially double your money, if not triple it.
And let's
Yeah.
say if someone's doing it on their own, like for example, you're doing it on your own, do you have a team that looks after this or manages your properties, or you have an on-call builder like rooms, right? Rooms can, if you're having 5 to 6 people living in one house, things can
Yeah.
appear to start getting damaged here and there. So this is just to know that whether you have how you would go about managing these. Let's say you get 2 HMOs or 3 buy-to-lets, it gets time consuming
Yeah.
for one person to do all of that, and especially doing the paperworks and everything. So how would you go about managing these properties that you have?
Yeah. I mean,
Because typically in
100%.
a HMO, you don't tend to have one property, you tend to have 5 properties,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
mentioned. So,
Yeah, exactly. And, it's essential to have a team. So you're absolutely right. Do I have a team? Yes, I do. I have, someone like, obviously you have a building team, or like plumbers on the side, or like a team that will be there. Obviously they're not employed, and you pay them the rate of which whatever they fix, right? But if we're talking about like a team, of course, it consists of a property manager. So I have a property manager, and they look after it essentially, like, finding the tenant. They do all the background checks, and they make sure that they pay the rent on time and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, the admin stuff. But then you also need a finance team.
yep.
And so you need a building team, finance team, and all of this. It just helps prosper the business. A lot of landlords or property investors don't consider it a business, and they don't
Yep.
treat it like a business. But it has to be. You have to have a team in a way that you would have any business. So it's imperative. It's essential to have a team.
And then when did you buy your first property? I just want to go through that journey, and what did you look for in that first property? And so you finished your traveling in June 2019, and
Yeah.
now today it's been a year. So if you can just take me through this year of yours, of how did you go about starting from the training courses or whatever, the research work that you put in, and then to buying your first property. If you can just take me through that.
Okay. So, by the way, sorry, the connection is running out. I mean, so the connection is a bit bad. So I just about
Did
got your
you
question.
did you get my question? What I
I
was
think I
saying is,
got the majority of it.
if you can just take me through the process of the research work that you put in after you came back from traveling to buying your first property, just that
Right.
research work, if you can let me know about it.
Okay, cool. So I got back in June 2019. From June till September, I educated myself, literally just reading books, watching YouTubes, speaking to
Yep.
loads of people that were experienced.
Yep.
And so that was through that time. And that was a very important time, because that's where I wanted to find my patch of where I'm going to invest in properties. So
Yep.
that was very important that I did that. And then by September, I decided. So throughout that time, I was educating myself. September, I decided I wanted Liverpool up
Sorry, just
north.
Annika, 1 second,
Of
just a
course.
minute. I've got. That's why I do my live sessions from the car, because I don't get this disturbance. But
I
sorry.
see, I see. No worries, no worries.
Yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Liverpool. You were talking about
Yeah,
Liverpool.
so I chose Liverpool as an investment area that I wanted to focus on in. And
Why
so,
did you choose
as I
that?
said,
Was it because of the regeneration that's going on there?
absolutely, yeah, it was a regeneration. That was probably
Okay.
one of the most.
Sorry, flag on it. I was like,
Oh wow!
look, that sold everything. He went on and bought 10 units at the back of it, just with the flag that there's
Oh
a
my
Middle
God.
Eastern community here. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was amazing. But then you don't
Oh,
get those
wow.
times.
Yeah, went there, booked 20 viewers, went to all of them. I stayed there for about a few days, maybe a week or so. And then, yeah, I put 3 or 4 offers in. One came back accepted. So I was like, great. And it was the one I wanted. I did pay asking price, but I think it was,
Did you have
undervalued.
to counter?
It was,
Did okay. but you're both pixelated. Okay. Yeah.
Hello, apologies for that. I don't know what happened to.
You give it to a property management team there, or no? Your in-house property manager always goes to Liverpool and travels around.
Oh, no, she's based up in Liverpool, so it's of course easier for her
Ah,
to
okay.
stay next to property, and she's got a massive portfolio of her own. And I checked reviews. I've spoken to her a few times, and I guess we built that trust. And you can do your due diligence by checking online, looking at their company, checking their,
Yeah.
how they've been, you know, um, trading and stuff. So you have to do your due diligence about it. But creating a very strong relationship with this person is really important. So you have to build trust, which again goes back to why you have to have your research done to begin with. It's very important, and to build your team before you get started, so that it's just plain sailing after that, and you're just trying to find investments because your team is already dealt with. So, and of course these relationships can break, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And if it does happen, then you just have to find someone else, and you try to get someone.
Yeah. Go on, take it. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So then you'll just be like, okay, fine, And there's a lot of high-fiving, which is not what British people like. A lot of like shouting and screaming and high-fiving the person next to you. Um,
Seriously.
all of that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I know he gets a lot of slack. Yeah, and I don't know. I think there's goodness in every single person that we meet, and you
Yeah.
have to find that.
Yeah.
His intentions might be good. He does want to make people, financially free. So I took away whatever I could from that. And it was very motivating. There's no doubt it was motivating. Do I know that he's ethical or not? No, I don't know. A lot of people say it. He gets so much slack in the property industry.
The amount of articles and the amount of videos
Yeah,
and stuff like that guy committing suicide
yeah.
and all that kind
I
of
know.
stuff,
I know.
it puts you down, right? I mean, it
Of
puts your
course it does.
name down. It
Yeah.
doesn't help you. So, I mean, you're another person who said that, not saying in terms anything bad about it, but saying that
Yeah.
it was motivating. Like the
Yeah.
other person I had a few weeks ago, he
Yeah.
mentioned that he actually did his first purchase through the Samuel Leeds
Oh,
training
wow.
course. So I
Yeah.
was like, wow, now I've got two people saying it's good, but
Yeah.
then I've not personally, I've not had anyone saying that it's bad or anything like that. So
Yeah.
let's see.
And I think the people that have the opinions are the ones that don't and doing it and learning.
I can use her expertise
Of course.
and use my expertise. So this is why I'm doing this right now in terms of brokering for properties and knowing everything about a small, like you said, HMO rundown property, a council flat
Mm-hmm.
to luxury. And I mean, I used to, when I got into this business in 2008,
Yeah.
I was dealing with council estates and
Oh, wow.
council tenants and
Oh my
all
God.
that kind of stuff. And I never thought in my life that I would be dealing with the royal family of Saudi or
Wow.
Kuwait or Qatar. And it just takes you from one place to, and even today, I never thought of selling that hotel in Scotland, or sell
Mm.
or dealing with development sites, where you can build so many properties and everything. So I was like, and I'm still learning with all these
Yeah.
things that are going on. I thought the
Yeah.
recession of 2008 was hammering, but
Hmm.
look at where we are now.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, yeah, I wouldn't say we're in a. I mean, I don't know whether to call it a recession or not, or whether. What do you think? What are your views? Let's start with
Yeah.
let's. I want to know your views according to today. What do
Okay.
you think as a property investor? What are your views on the property market?
Okay. So, I mean, I think a recession is imminent. I think it's going to happen because look at the economy. Like, this is not a choice, what's happening. So it's so different to previous recessions. Before we could go out and still buy when it was a recession. This is so different. So I think Okay, obviously I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how it's going to turn out, right? This is just
Just
speculation.
your views. This is just Annika's views. Don't hold her up to
Yeah,
anything, please.
exactly. Please
Do not hold me up to
don't.
anything. We're just sharing our views.
Exactly. So I think just as quick as we get out of it, sorry, as soon as the restriction lifts and we're able to go out, I don't think the property market will go down as much. Like, so to begin with, I'd say it's probably about a 20 to 40% dip right now. And I think it will continue that in that fashion for the rest of the year. But I think towards December, January, it will start picking up to about 60 to 80%, I think, because people were hoping for a recession like 2007, 2008, because a lot of people got successful after that. So everyone knows that now. So everyone's going to do it in a similar fashion. So unless, of course, people have, obviously there's a lot of unemployment. And when there's unemployment, people can't buy,
Yep.
The biggest asset that they'll probably buy, a house. So it may go down, but there's a lot of people with a lot of cash, and they'll take advantage of this. And if there's a demand and if there's a supply, I mean, I've noticed supply has gone down. There's not that much new instructions. I'm sure
Yep. Yep.
you've seen that as
I
well.
mean, the thing is, I tend to get my instructions through social media. It be
Right.
LinkedIn or Instagram and things like
Yeah.
that. Word of mouth, all that kind of stuff. So I don't really depend myself. And I've never had a shop front. So I've never had people coming in and saying, "Oh,
Definitely.
Murtaza, I've got this property, go and sell it," or go and it's all been through the network that I deal with. Like
Smart.
I expect a property from you someday. So let's see.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no. I have it in mind. Forget
Um,
about my previous business partner. I'll give it to you. Yeah.
so yes, please. You were talking about how have you looked at something right now in terms of property? Have you looked at something and you've thought that, okay, maybe I can get this with a 30%, 20% discount? Have you gone in with that view?
I have, yeah, I have. I mean, of course, like it's so unfortunate if people are having to be repossessed, but unfortunately, that's the reality. People are going to be repossessed. They'll have to give their house. Like,
Someone's loss is someone's profit, right?
yeah, I
It's
know, exactly.
yeah,
But, I mean, it's sad, but more likely there'll be more houses on auction sites, mainly when it becomes repossessed. And I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of opportunity. The property industry, I'm sure you notice, it's like we're living in the 1960s still, with the
totally,
paperwork, with all this kind of stuff.
totally.
But the fact that so much has gone online now, and we're starting to finally change that and flip that over, and we're doing desktop valuations. I was speaking to a mortgage broker the other day. They're now trying to advance themselves so that we can actually do this while staying at home.
Yep.
Auction houses online, and viewings, 360 viewings. That's the future, and that's what I hope it will become. So will there be a change? 100%.
Question. Now that you
Yes.
spoke about 360 viewings, would you go and put your money on the line with a 360 viewing?
I mean, technically, I already did, because I already put an offer on a property during auction, and I just have this. I think the legal paperwork is so much more important, which I read through anyway. But I done a 360 viewing on that. Yeah. So I did, and I bidded for it. I got outbid, but the point is that, yeah, I would. But, oh, gosh.
And that guy closed on the back of what happened with Brexit. So when that Brexit happened, we
Yeah.
thought, and when this property sold, it was all over the media, all over the news, LinkedIn, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, that, we've sold 200 million pounds to an asset worth 200 million pounds,
Yeah.
a residential asset. And that just boosted the property market.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
COVID-19.
What timing, huh? What
Amazing timing. Amazing timing. I mean, I don't know. It's a whole load of conspiracies and all that kind of stuff. We're talking
Yeah.
about property. I don't want to talk about all this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
you must have seen me from my social media about how strongly I feel about COVID and all that. But, anyways,
Yeah.
so that's about it, I think, in terms
Yeah,
of
in property.
your our live session. So just before you go,
Hmm.
what piece of advice would you give? Like, we have 10 viewers right now. We had viewers that were there, and we'll have you, because this live session will stay on my live story for the next 24 hours.
Okay, cool.
So if you want to recommend someone to watch what you have said about property, do recommend them to come onto my profile and see it.
Yeah.
But what would you advise the viewers and the people who are going to view about property investment, or how to go about property investment, or what is the how do you invest in property for the first time? Maybe something, a few words.
Okay, a few words. I mean, very basically, it goes back to what I said initially. Just have your plan, you know, establish what your goal is, what your strategy is, educate yourself. That's massively important. Educate yourself, and know why you're doing it. I don't know if I said this before, but know
No.
your why. You know, with any kind of business, know exactly why you're doing it. You have to have passion for it.
Yep.
You know, you have to have that drive, that ambition, you know, to want to do it. And it has to be a higher purpose for it. So, you know, that's imperative in any kind of business. And then you've got to take action. Once you feel like you've got your head around it, you know everything, you feel confident in it, you know your why, go for it and just do it.
What's your why?
My why is, well, obviously, you know, my business name is Seva Living, and Seva means, it's a Sanskrit word that means
Helping.
selfless service. Yeah.
Yeah.
Selfless
Service.
service. Yeah. Without expecting anything back in return.
Yep.
That is my like long-term goal. Like, I really wish to give back. I want to, you know, build houses for people that are less fortunate. I want to go to Africa, India, build water wells, you know, an orphanage, hopefully one day. Like, I really wish that I could give back. That's my main purpose. I've always had that.
Those are a lot more headache than they are worth. Do you focus on certain types of tenants for your properties?
This is true. This is why I was saying it's essential to have a team. When you have a team, it's a lot more easier to build this business and to make it more efficient. You want the least bit of problem. So I would say when you get a tend online, and apparently they had like one of the biggest sales, which I was shocked. But I
You
think
mean, did you go to the one for Allsops or Savile? Amount of videos and stuff.
it holds you accountable, and that's what
So
mentors
you discuss the numbers and everything with them, and
if you want to, you can. So you can, let's say
constant. Economics was the class
people with a lot of cash, and you know they'll take advantage of this. And if there's a demand,
60, and I got it for him, and then he actually called me up and said, "Murtaza, you actually saved me 20K, so good for you."
wow. That's good.
But it's, I mean, deals. There are other bigger agents that are doing deals, but is it really the case that these deals are being closed, or whether these deals were closed? I mean, auction, I can understand. Even people online and on the phone, they don't go and see the property. All they look at, like you said, numbers and the paperwork. If that works, I'll go for it. The address is there, everything's there, and no one's gonna, you know. And when you're buying a property, it's totally different to when you're renting a property. Or, I mean, it just depends. But
Of course.
I personally, I would love that people bought through virtual viewings. You know, that means I don't need to have an office. I don't need to have what I don't need to wait for clients while you know, estate agents. You've been an agent and you've been waiting out there for the clients who come half an hour late, or 15 minutes late.
That always
So all those things, yes, the what do you call it, the carbon footprint would finish off with these things. But whether people are going to part with 100,000, a million, a 10 million, like for example, January we had the biggest sales of the real estate world in the world, actually, with that house in Knightsbridge being sold for 200 million pounds. Did you not hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Service.
Without expecting anything back in return.
Yep.
That is my like long-term goal. Like I really